I'm Bouris, and this is Straight Talk.
Oh, it's a tough question to answer. I've been a roller coaster. What I'm trying to say to you is I bloody love food, full stop. When I came here, there was no cooking shows. This dish just ticked all the boxes. The food was really kind of, in modern Australian, really easy and relaxed. And now, like, it seems that everyone is a critic.
Or an expert now.
An expert.
Because you made him that way. No, but you have.
It's my fault. I mean, no one's got a good, easy life. We've lost so many of our friends in the industry in the last few years. You've asked me if I was here a year ago, I would have a completely different story to tell you. Like, you know, I was in a bad place. I was screaming and arguing all the time. I was a cranky, because, you know, I was...
Under pressure?
Yeah, under pressure all the time. Of course, I miss the restaurant. Well, I miss it. I was born in it. I love it. But if it doesn't make sense in your life anymore, you've got to look at a change.
Manu Feildel, welcome to Straight Talk, mate.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you for ages. Last time I think I saw you was at Port Douglas.
That's
with
right.
your family.
Yep, indeed, yeah.
How you going, all right?
Yeah, good actually.
Did you know Jock?
I didn't know him as well as some other chefs, but you know, he's in the industry, what we call a brother.
Yeah.
So we were there on Saturday to his funeral, and it's a shock. I mean, we've lost so many of our friends in the industry in the last few years. It's not cool.
It's a tough industry.
It is. I mean, it's tough for whom? It depends if you love it. It's not tough. It is tough it's tough when you get to, I suppose, when you get to 40s, mid-40s, then you just realize that the passion is kind of fading, and so is the bank account.
Yeah.
You know, so
well, or if you get married, you got kids, or when you're single, young bloke, leading the life, you know, in your 20s and 30s, and you
do the 16
you can
hours
go
a
out
day, it's okay.
after, you know, finish it whatever time you guys finish in the restaurant, and you go out with all your crew and you go and have a few drinks and then party.
Correct.
Then it's pretty cool, eh? But you can't do that forever.
That's right. No, you can't. There's a time where, you know, you need to grow up, you need to mature, you've got more responsibilities, and you've got a mortgage or rent or kids, as you say, and you know, you've got to really think about your future, where you're going to end. You know, you can't just have be young and party forever.
And one of the things about chefing, if I could call it that, just because I know quite a few of the sort of more celebrated chefs, is that it is a bit of a mentally tough game in that it's extremely challenging, because you're always trying to find out what is the business model that will work for me as a chef. I mean, using my chef skills, what is the business model? There's lots of different business models that I've seen. You know, like Luke Mangan, for example. He basically told me, Mark, you don't make money out of restaurants. Chefs can't make money out of restaurants. Occasionally, but it's pretty hard. And you and I know lots of blokes, including you, who have not done, great chefs, but not done so well out of restaurants.
That's right.
His model is, I will sell the Luke Mangan name. And you know, you go on celebrity cruises, and Luke Mangan's might appear there, and he's not cooking, by the way, but it looks like he's cooking. It looks like maybe it might be his menu, and he might tell them what to cook, etc. But it helps sell someone else's product. That's one model. It seems to work well for him, but it's probably not room for 20 of them.
I suppose. I mean, I do a little bit of this, but you know, I want to use my name for myself as well. You know, that's what I've been doing lately, and it's different. You're right. It's different what you want to do. Some chefs want to be behind the stoves for the rest of their life, and that's their full passion. But you know, it is tiring. You know, it's a 24/7 job.
Yeah.
You know, you don't sleep at night.
Is that right?
Yeah, it plays with your mind, like, especially when you own the restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, first you need to look after your staff, making sure the menu's good, that you look after your customers, that the bills are paid, and it's just tick, 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 tick nonstop. Like it's one of those relentless jobs where you never rest, and that's what chefs go after midnight and just get on a piece,
Yeah, yeah.
just to breathe a bit.
Yeah,
You know what
just
I
to
mean?
calm down,
Yeah,
to wind down.
yeah, that's
I
right.
mean, it's not too different to what musicians have to go through,
Mm,
but musicians can make more money, I think. But it's very difficult though to you don't talk if you're running a restaurant. You've got a small audience, might be 200, 300 perhaps if you've got a big restaurant. But a musician can talk to 300,000 like
yeah, that's right.
in a festival. So the mathematics is much more in favor of the musician living this lifestyle for 20, 30 years if they can get away with it and if they're good enough. But for chefs, that mental health piece, how does someone like Manu get through that? I mean, how do you manage that? I mean, how do you get? I mean, is it
Uh,
just a genetic thing? You're tough enough to do it, or you're just balanced, or what do you do?
it's a tough question to answer. I've been a roller coaster. You know, there's been time of my life where I was the happiest, and there's been time of my life where I was in a really deep, dark hole. Um, and I think it's just about surrounding yourself by the right people.
Yeah,
I suppose your family is the people that can really stuck up for you. Make sure you hang out with the right people. You know, the good friends.
but it's easy to hang out with the wrong people in your industry.
Yeah, yeah, it can happen. And I think it's about being able to get out of that bubble, and think further and trying to make something for yourself, I suppose. And that's why I left the restaurant world because, uh, I was making money from TV and then I was losing it in restaurants. And it's a bloody frustrating part of your life, you
Well, there's
know?
no point spending good money after bad.
Yeah.
There's no point. It doesn't make sense.
And the last few years, last 3 or 4 years, I've changed that. I've put the money in the right spot to be able to have a great, the last 10, 15 years of my working life to be able to do something about it.
Actually, I would also, by the way, I just remembered, I want to talk about your rugby league kid a little bit later. One of your
Yeah.
one of your kids plays rugby league.
Yeah, yeah.
It's ours.
Yes,
I
yeah.
need to talk about that, but we'll park that for a minute. We're going to talk about because I just thought about because they're the things that make your life worth everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what brings you back to reality. I
Yes.
mean, your kids are growing up now.
And that's where I'm at now. Like I'm just on 50 and my life is more healthy. It's healthier. I'm more focused and yeah, I feel like I've just come out of a shell and just reborn in some ways. I don't know. I'm feeling really good lately.
Well, it's funny, sometimes in order to get over the mental health issues that we might be experiencing, we just have to be patient and let it all unfold and just see what comes because it'll come. But sometimes our impatience puts us into a panic. We start to panic and we think this is never going to get better.
Yeah, I've always been impatient, always. And I think it comes with the job, because when you've got customers coming into your restaurant, they need to be served straight away. So it becomes a model where everything's fast, everything's quick. Uh, but because I've changed my career in some ways, I've now been able to take a few steps back and kind of, I spend more time in the office versus being in the stoves, and I spend more time at home with my kids and my wife versus always being running restaurants. And I miss, of course, I miss the restaurant. Well, I miss it. I was born in it. I love it. But if it doesn't make sense in your life anymore, you've got to look at a change.
What was the day or the event? Can you remember the time? Was it a moment
Yeah,
you
I
decided to do
think
that?
so. I was running restaurants. Then I got given like a gig on TV, which was fun at the beginning, and that gig became bigger. So I was like juggling between, having to look after my team and my restaurants and being there when I could, and then being on the road with MKR and just like and then try to find sometimes to be at home with the kids. It's like having a four burner.
Yeah.
You can't have all of them burning at the
Going
same time.
once.
You run out of gas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's pretty much like that.
Yeah.
So um, I then decided, and it was a very tough decision to make: leaving the restaurant or leaving the the TV staff. And the bank account decided for me. The
Yeah.
TV was just paying me well, and I was losing money in restaurants. So I decided to depart from the restaurant business and then concentrate on the TV, and it worked better for me. Nowadays, I'm keeping the TV alive for my brand because I've got a different business now that I want to make successful. So the brand, as you talk about, Luc Mangan, is I've got a brand name and a face that people recognize, and I'm using
And a voice.
and a voice. Yeah, that's right. I hope most people understand what I'm saying right now, and I'm using that to really catapult my brand for the retail.
Just, I was always very curious. What was Manu like actually in the kitchen? Were you barking at everybody, or were you sort of put your arm around them and say, "Mate, that's okay, no problem," even though it's a piece of shit where you just cooked? I mean, how were you like?
No, I'm a, well, if I
Calm,
can, I'm energetic, but friendly, and I'm a clown. Like I love
stuffing around.
stuffing around, and some of them, my teams always say, just zip it. We need to concentrate, you know. But I'm a team player, and I love to get everyone going, I suppose. Um, but I give them two chances, and the third they're gone. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? You can't just say, "Oh, that's okay, don't do it again." I like to tell them off and explaining why they've done it wrong and explain how they can make it better. But you can do that a couple of times, and if they don't get it, it's time to move on. But I've never been an asshole.
Have you ever feel like going out and telling the customer off? Because I tell you a funny story. My dad worked in his dad's restaurant. My dad, the Greeks, they always have a coffee shop, restaurant, whatever. My grandfather had a restaurant, and my dad's five brothers all worked in his restaurant. Okay, him and his five brothers, and my dad tells me a story that one time it was in George Street, across the road from the movie theaters, and in those days people used to go to the movies with a suit
Mm.
on, a hat, and everything, and after the movie they would come for supper.
Yep.
Like no one does it
After
anymore. Yeah,
theatre.
now you go to McDonald's for supper, but they used to come for supper. It was very civilized. It was very
Yeah.
nice, like old school, like in the movies. And there's this man comes into my dad's father's restaurant and asked to have a steak. And steak and chips these days would be called steak and frits or something, but it was just steak and chips, and I think it was an egg anyway. He sent the steak back because he said it wasn't cooked properly, well enough. He wanted it well done, let's say. My father said my grandfather got it, put it back on and put it back in the fry pan, put it back, send it out. Late for 20 seconds. The guy said, not good enough, send it back. My grandfather was had a big temper, okay? And he got the steak, he threw it on the floor, picked it back up and put it back in the pan. And for 1 second, put some butter on it. As you know, put butter makes the steak look better. Send it back out, and the guy said, beautiful. So how did you deal with I mean, customers can be fickled. They
Can be.
you know
They
what I mean?
always
They
are.
drive you crazy.
It's more and more, and it's funny because I've been here nearly 25 years now. But when I came here, there was no cooking shows. There was no, the food was really kind of in modern Australian, really easy and relaxed. And now, like it seems that everyone is a critic,
Or an expert now.
an expert.
Because you made them that way. No, but you have.
It's my fault.
No, but not you, but you and all the others, and
Yeah.
MasterChef, et cetera. Like all of the celebrity chefs. I mean, and that's a crappy word, celebrity, I know, but like
I know.
all the chefs that get accolades on television,
Yeah.
you've educated us, which is why the show is so successful. You've educated us on what is high quality,
Yeah.
and the quality's got better. I mean, I watch the show; it's got better and better and better and better. Some of these people amaze me what they can do.
I think they kind of allowed to. I mean, it's funny because when I go to a restaurant and I don't eat well, I just zip it and never come back. But some people like to do the other way when they like to complain and get something for free or get
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But the thing is also what you've got to understand is it's like an average of 150 a head now.
Yeah,
I think you're allowed to complain if you
yeah,
pay
yeah.
150.
Totally, it's
So
expensive.
there's the customer is always right, 100%. But you recognize excuse my French, the assholes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's the
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
who's genuinely right. You know what I mean? In the old days, I think the chef would do like your grandpa, just throw the steak on the floor. And in nowadays, we just like a little bit more like, okay, let's look at it. And the thing is you can complain and lose a customer, or you can just fix it and he comes back. It's up to you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and sometimes you might as well. I mean, sometimes you're better off just to comp them and just say, look, doesn't mean you have to pay, whatever the case may be, because if they'll go away and they'll tell 10 people what a good restaurant. Look, they did the right thing by me. They're pretty cool. I'll come back and they'll tell 10 good stories. Otherwise, they'll
Yeah.
tell one bad story, and everyone will hear about it.
If you asked Manu 20 years ago, I'll tell you the other way. I'll
Yeah,
be like your
tell them to fuck
grandpa.
off.
But now it's different.
So you're out of the restaurant business. I get that, and you've got a good brand, and a good brand to me is very recognizable. It's you have a certain look, you look a certain way, so we can see that's Manu looking at you. Your voice is very recognizable. You've got a good reputation. You've had a lot of TV exposure, so someone else, Channel 7 in this case, has spent millions and millions of dollars promoting all of you guys on MKR. That's a big deal. That's something you need to be able to leverage. So what have you leveraged it into? Tell me about the product.
I've never taken that for granted.
Totally. It's a big deal though.
It's huge.
And by the way, you're still there. I mean, we've seen people go away.
13 years
We saw
later.
Pete, we've seen the demise of people we know, because maybe
That's what
they
I'm saying. You
didn't
can't
take it for granted. I think I remember talking to you about Pete when he was having the trouble some years ago, and he just should shut up. For my opinion, he should say nothing. I mean, if you value the gig,
Well, that's the thing.
yeah,
The reason why he didn't shut up, I think he just
didn't care
he didn't
anymore.
care as much. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
right.
but if you value the gig, which you do, then nothing's perfect. I mean, everyone thinks celebrities. Oh, how lucky! I'd love to be Manu. It's tough.
But you know what? I actually, you probably know as much as I do. But at the end of the day, it's a contract. Okay, they want you, and you want them.
Yeah.
That's all it is. The day they don't want you anymore, see you later.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I'm not taking it for granted, because as long as I can keep my foot into the TV industry, which I've got a good reputation for, I'm also going to leverage this.
So that's smart. That's pretty smart what you're doing.
I think so.
No,
But I don't-
my view, it is.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is I don't think there's enough smart celebrity people, as you call them. Like they buy big houses and expensive cars.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
you
They
know,
started to believe.
I
They
want,
started to
I
believe.
want the longevity. I don't want a short-term, happiness. I want,
Yeah.
So I know that now my sauce product in a supermarket, I'm not making a lot of money. I'm kind of breaking even. It's been 5 years in the making, 3 years on the shelf, turning over pretty well. But, it's not enough to retire
Yeah.
with. So that's for me.
But it's a
like,
slow build.
it's a slow build. Before, I wanted to open a restaurant. I wanted to make money straight away. Now I know that I've got 10 years. I'm giving myself 10 years to put these brands on the shelf where everyone knows that By Manu is a good product.
Yep.
And the reason why we started this is because the tagline was created while I was shooting my kitchen rolls, asking the contestants, where's the sauce?
Yeah.
So people cross the road, hey, Manu, where's the sauce? And
Because that's what you became well known for.
and one day I went to the office, I said, let's make some sauce.
Yeah.
So I went to the supermarket and I realized there was nothing that was fresh, made with real ingredients, with no additive, no preservative, no gums, no coloring, no food, this and that. I was shocked. So I went on the drawing board and I went, let's do something fresh that is real. So that's my new tagline. It's not a packet sauce, it's a sauce in a packet.
My extent of chefing at my house, occasionally I might make a pizza.
Let me ask you a question. If you go and buy a sauce, like a tomato sauce, okay? Where is it stand in a supermarket?
On the shelf.
Yeah, but not the refrigerator.
It's not in the fridge, no.
Yeah. So how can you have tomato sauce for 2 years on the shelf?
Yeah, correct. So it's got salt in it or something
Well,
like
it's
salt.
got preservatives.
Yeah.
It's got all those E numbers, E420, E400.
And I don't even know what they are.
Me neither. Okay. So my sauce stands in the fridge. Why? Because it's fresh, made with real ingredients. My sauce is a little bit more expensive than the other brand. Why? Because it's made with real ingredients.
What preserves it then?
So what happens, and it's bringing a liquid to a boil.
Yeah.
And
Boiling
reduce,
it, yeah.
yeah, and reduce the temperature
Yeah.
to 4 degrees in less than an hour.
Right.
If you do that, you kill all bacteria.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we learn in a kitchen
When you're doing chef course.
when you do chef course, and you can keep it for 4 months in your fridge.
You're selling into pubs?
Pubs, yeah. Well, I work with
Not a little packet?
no,
No,
I
a
work
bigger
with the
packet.
Liondis group.
Oh,
So
yeah,
they've
yeah,
got
yeah.
24 pubs.
Yeah, yeah.
Jamie Gannon is the executive chef, who's a good friend of mine. He employs 200 chefs or so on. The quality of chefs are gone since COVID. We've lost a lot of talent.
Well, tell me about that a bit.
Well, COVID happened and everyone went home. I think we lost during COVID, there was 200,000 people in the industry
Wow.
alone. And half of them are gone. The other half have decided to do something else.
Yeah.
So we lost quality and quantity as well in the industry. Especially when you employ people in a pub, they're not necessarily the 3 Michelin star chefs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he was struggling to get, he was using the powder stuff with a bit of water. And I'm like, mate, I've got a solution for you. He said, oh, sure. I tried it and it went done. And he tried it without putting my name into it for a month. Customer loved it. Then we just now call it by menu on some of the menus.
So they put it on the menu as well?
Some of them, yeah. Not all of the pubs, but some of them.
But that's interesting because that's a good way of promoting what they ate or what they're eating.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I'm saying about my aim is to make customer understand that the by menu brand equal quality.
Do you think people like to cook at home now? What's your
Yeah, they
view on
do.
that?
I think there's more people, again, since COVID, where you get stuck at home doing nothing. Suddenly you go to the supermarket and you start, watching videos and so on, open cookbooks. Of course they do, but there's also the halfway where they can't do all of it. So making a sauce would take a couple of hours. Who wants to do that?
Yeah, you probably don't even want to do it at home.
Yeah, exactly. So, you can do the meat, you can do the vegetable, and then you can go to the fridge and get the sauce by menu.
Well, it's interesting. Last night I cooked a steak. No, I actually cooked a veal chop, which is a big. I tell you a funny story. I was thinking about it last night. The first time I'd never heard of veal chop in my life, and when I was in my 20s, the senior partner of the law firm I worked for took me to. We had to go to Switzerland, and we had to go to various countries. But I was like the young lawyer in the firm, and he's the boss. And well, anyway, we had to go to Switzerland, and we were in this hotel in Geneva. And he said, "Come on, we'll go to have dinner." And we had some clients down there. And we went down to have dinner, and I looked on the menu, and he said, "Order the veal chop." And I thought, I was much like 10 kilos bigger than I am now, and I was much more bigger appetite. And I thought, oh no, I have to do that now because the boss told me to. And I thought, a chop, I don't want a chop. Anyway, the veal chop came out, it was huge. I got a shock of my life. So I ordered and I loved it. But so I bought a veal chop last night, and I cooked it. And the thing that I thought about, and I cooked it in a pizza oven type thing, these. They cook from the top and the bottom at the same time. And because I like to cook in there because there's no mess. And I cook outside.
So you don't have to clean it.
Yeah, I don't have to clean. And I thought to myself, bloody hell, I'm seeing Manu tomorrow. I would have loved to have some peppercorn sauce for this. So, and because your point is right. I don't mind cooking for myself, but I'd be buggered if I'm going to start cooking a bloody sauce. Because the amount of time it would take me to prepare a peppercorn sauce or something like that would just make the whole thing a stupid idea. I'm better off just driving down to the local restaurant and have something to eat down.
Yeah. But for me, it's also education piece. I want to educate people to eat better. And, coming here and being invited to people's home. And it's lovely, of course. I never critique or judge, but it's always the ketchup and the bloody barbecue sauce,
Yeah.
And the kids are brought up with this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, far out. Is that all you have? Like, is that all you, on your steak? That kills me. So that's why I wanted to, Aussies love to go to the pub on the weekends. And I thought, if I can, the jigsaw and put the two together, having the Aussies have the knowledge of what you can have in a pub and take this home when you want, that's what I wanted to do.
How do you go about doing that? Should you be doing a YouTube series or something like that?
I do. I don't do YouTube as such, but I do. I work on the social media platforms. So I do recipes, 2 recipes a month. I do a couple of lives as well every now and then. So just to show not only that you can open the packet and pour it on a steak, but you can also use the mushroom sauce in a pasta bag, for example, or like showing people how to use the product.
Yeah.
And keep on repeating what the product is made of just to make them understand that it's actually, it's real food. That is the biggest problem I've got, is having the time, because I'm the face of the brand. So it has to be me showing it, not someone else's.
Totally.
So it's a lot of juggling around, and a lot of time being away, working, TV, family, behind the camera, like everybody else.
It's a new set of frustrations.
Yeah.
Now you're a businessman, not a chef anymore.
Mm-hmm.
A chef runs a restaurant. There's all the business side of the restaurant, but
Yeah.
chefing is hard, and it can be very frustrating, as you said earlier.
I am definitely more patient ever than before.
Is that because of age, or it's a better business model?
I think a bit of both. To be honest with you, I think I finally see the vision of, we had a chat a few years ago when my restaurant was going badly, the Duck in Duck Out.
Yep.
And you just obviously gave me some advice, and I was blind there. I was hoping, and hoping in business doesn't bloody work. Now it's just, I've learned from all the mistakes I've done. I think I'm more mature, and I think, no, actually, I don't think, I know that what I'm doing now is working today. And if it's working today, it will be working tomorrow if I put the work in myself. I think it's a longevity in this business. I can see that. I can see the future of it, and I just, to be honest with you, now it's just about cash flow. It's I need a little bit more money behind it just to really push the brand up.
As in capital.
As in capital.
Yeah. So that means get partners.
Yes, and that's what I find it hard to, because I've had partners in the past, and I'm always the one who's been end up paying the bills and the debts.
Yeah.
Now it's hard to get another partner again, because it's easier to have multiple partners, I suppose, who puts a little bit in with a couple of shares, and I get the control of. I don't want someone to tell me what to do. Unfortunately, it's my.
It's your brand, though.
It's my brand, and also it's my recipe in there. You know? And I don't want someone to come in and say, "Why don't we make it cheaper and put water instead of stock?" For example.
Yeah.
I'll tell him to F
Which
off.
is probably better. But by the way, I mean, that's why it's probably better in terms of structuring your partners to have a lot of smaller partners than having one or two bigger partners.
That's right. Or having a partner that is already in the food retail industry, who can help me to, I don't mind sharing a slice of the cake. Really, I don't mind. But it needs to be for a right purpose.
Have you ever thought about meeting up with my muscle chef people? Because, I mean, like, they are producing, I don't know how many they sell, but like up to 500,000 meals a week. 500,000. And that packaged protein, 3 veg industry is like, I can understand why it's so successful, because someone like me, I would just go and say, I need to eat 150 grams of chicken. I need a bit of broccoli, a potato, and a whatever. There it is, all made. It's vac packed. I don't like the other ones. I like the vac pack one. It's $12 or whatever it is. I don't know. It's more than that, but I'll buy one. You know what I mean? And I do eat them. Sometimes I have for lunch, whatever.
See, for me, I'm a chef, mate, and it needs to look good.
Yeah, but what about if they had what about if they partner up with you with your relation to your sauce?
We do a few collaboration. It would be nice to do a collab with someone big like this.
Yeah.
We've approached few delivery meals people. It's a slow burner,
because they're owned by a fund, investor fund.
Yeah.
Now, and if you're looking for capital, maybe they're the sort of people who you could talk to, because they can't just, they might be doing 500,000 meals a week now, but they're not going to be doing 1 million in a year's time. There's a point at which you can only do 10,000 more. And at which point they say, okay, what other things can we do that people will have in their homes?
It's changing lately between people like to know what they're eating. In the past, it would just put the pack
Take
in the shopping bag and then go. Now the people turning the packet around and they read what's in it.
Yeah, I do now.
Yeah.
I look at things like sauce, salt, sugar,
Yeah,
calories.
that's
whatever.
right. And I think so. It's happening, which is fabulous. But it's about changing the minds of the masses. It's
Yeah.
not just Sydney and Melbourne. It's Australia's huge, So we're in 1,000 woolies around the country. There's some part of Australia where the sauce doesn't sell because it's completely foreign to them.
Yeah. Peppercorn sauce, what the hell?
Exactly.
Mushroom sauce. We've never seen a mushroom around here.
So I think people want to eat better, but not only eat better in quality of food, but what's in it. They want to know what's in it and where it's from and how it's made. And
So it's not just taste.
It's not just taste.
You going to do any Greek sauces?
Sure.
For us Greeks?
Well, just get involved in the brand.
There's 800,000 Greeks in Australia. Come on. There's a big market. And we're all lazy bastards. We don't want to make it ourselves. And by the way, the men do make the food.
Yeah.
So
in
Greek culture, men do the barbecue.
Let's do a lemon and oregano butter.
Lemon oregano, yeah. I'm into it. Like,
put down your lamb.
Yeah, put on my lamb. It's funny, I don't even like lamb. Like, it's funny, a lot of Greeks don't eat lamb. I don't know why everyone thinks we eat lamb. We don't. We eat goat. We don't have lambs because everyone lives on the mountains, and the lambs can't live on the sheep can't live on the mountains. They need a plain to walk around. Where my dad comes from, no cows or no sheep. It's mostly only goats because they can climb up and they don't fall off and fall down, break their leg. So, Manu, how do you manage the down periods now? What do you do about that?
I drink. I drink maybe a little bit too many sometimes,
but not all the time. Like
not all the time.
So when you have
I go back at night. I go home and pour myself a couple of whiskeys.
Yeah.
Like you box 3 times a week. That keeps me level, I suppose. Like between, the thing that I like to do is when I close my home, the door behind me, it's my sanctuary.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk with my wife about business.
Yeah.
I want to relax. I want to maybe have a whiskey and have a chat, and that's where I just switch off, kind of thing.
How many kids you got now?
I've got 2
kids.
So Jonty's 18 and Charlie's 8.
Right. So one's a boy, one's a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you interact with your kids in terms of your switching off? I mean, what do they do for Manu in terms of keeping him sane? Level?
I mean, they just love, like they're my kids. So like Jonty's he's the apple of my heart. He's a good boy. He's focused. Maybe not the best at school, but he's got a career that's being traced for him at the moment. He's been playing a league since he was 9 years old. He plays union at school. He's an athlete. He's a good kid.
He's in the South development squad, isn't he?
Yeah, and under 19 this year, and he's going to repeat under 19 next year because he's young for his age.
Is he a big kid?
He's 80 kilo, but fast.
Yeah.
Muscly,
what position is he playing?
Inside centre.
Inside centre.
Yeah.
And he's with the bunnies.
His bunnies.
Okay, this podcast is over officially.
You rooster, aren't you?
Yeah. Officially. No, but where do you guys live? Like, do you live in Maroubra?
We live in Maroubra.
Oh, you live in Maroubra. That makes sense. So he played his junior league in the South Comp.
No, he was with the Roosters for a few years.
He played with us, and he's now in the South.
Well,
did he play for Clovelly or Coogee or something?
He was playing for Clovelly.
Crocodiles.
But because he's at Waverley College,
he's at Waverley. Okay.
He was playing for an East club.
Yeah.
By the age of 18, you're allowed to
make a decision
where you want to go. Because of people who I know, I just made a couple of phone calls, and he got given a little spot. But now it's up to him. It's up to him to.
Do you go to watching?
As much as I can. I just love it.
Yeah.
I just, pride that just seeing
I've seen your Instagram. I see some of the photographs you put up on there. Yeah, it's great.
He's a good kid and he's a good player, and I'm just hope that, he's going to sign up and just.
Do you think you would encourage him to have a career in footy, or would you say to him
whatever he wants to do?
Would you say to him like you did? You want to become a chef?
No.
You wouldn't?
No, for many reasons. But no, but you can't force your kids to tell them what they want. You know, like Jonty's been focusing in rugby for a long time. He's now to an age where he can, in the next couple of years, become a professional and get signed, which would be fantastic. Now his career is going to finish when he's 32, 34, perhaps.
Then what?
Then maybe I can teach him what I do, and then he can take over my
You do the sauce
business,
business.
and I can retire in Greece.
Yeah, which is what they all want to do, which is the reason why. And by the way, but these days you have to have too much money to retire in Greece. Once upon a time, it was quite cheap to retire. Actually, France is cheaper than Greece.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah. Parts of France, like much cheaper than Greece because...
But if you pay cash in Greece, it's okay.
That's okay. That's true. That's true. If you pay cash, they call it fasolaki. There's an envelope full of cash. But no, just because I'm curious, did someone say to you when you were a young man at Jonty's age, Manu, why don't you become a chef?
No. So I left school at 15. Not because I was stupid. I just was uninterested to be sitting at a desk in a classroom listening to whatever the teacher was like. I was bored to death. My mom was pulling her hair out. What am I going to do with you? My parents were divorced since I was a young boy. So my dad was a chef. So she said, listen, why don't you go and work with your dad for the next year? Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. And I tell you what, Mark, the first day in the kitchen, I bloody loved it. And I don't think it was just cooking. It's just working, physically working. And
With your hands?
Yeah. I was doing 12, 14 hours at the age of 15. I loved it. I couldn't leave the kitchen ever. By the age of 18, I'd finished my apprenticeship. I was qualified. And I went to London with no English and £300 in my pocket and a job.
Why'd you go to London?
My cousin was working there for a while, and he was leaving the position. And said, do you want to jump in instead of me? I said, sure. So I jumped on the first plane I've ever been on, 18 years old, with my suitcases, £300 in the pocket. Yes, no, please. That's all I knew in English. And I stayed there for 8 years. I was running my first kitchen when I was 22. Nominated best seafood restaurant when I was 25. And I came here when I was 26.
And so why would you not encourage your boy then to do the same thing?
Because that's not him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's different.
He's different. He's very Australian, by the way. He's got no French in him whatsoever. And yeah, he's Aussie as it is, because, and that's the league. League is his passion. It's his dream. It's his every day. He trains every single day of the week, and he plays games on the weekend, like nonstop. He goes to the gym. All of that is just dedication.
Would you say to him, though, similar to yourself, look, it's good to play footy, but like it's good for you to be a chef, in your case, but you maybe need to discover another skill.
Yeah. So he's year 12 at the moment. So he's done.
He's still at school.
Yeah. Yep. So he's done pathways. So he's done his year 12 in 2 years because of rugby.
Yeah.
So he's done English, French, and math subject the first year. And now he's doing business and religion, because you have to in his and business is one thing that I pushed him to do.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the business education, and learning on the go, bloody hard.
Yeah.
And you lose a shit ton of money doing that way. So I said, you've got to do business.
You learn by mistakes, learning on the go.
Yeah, but mistakes, expensive mistakes.
Yeah, expensive mistakes. So you would encourage him then to go do the business side of things.
Yes.
And then when maybe if he's lucky enough, because it's a hard thing to get a rugby league career, if he gets a rugby league career, then he can come off and perhaps help assist you.
Yeah, either that, or he can stay in a league world, and maybe being in an office and do stuff.
Because you know as well as anybody, Manu, like it's really hard these days, if you earmark yourself in a really specific skill.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah,
a really specific skill, because the life of those skills for some reason expires.
Yeah,
but like even if you're a plumber. You see, people say, "Oh no, plumber's okay." No, but you know what? A plumber has to be able to get under the house. Like if you all got an injury, or you're getting older, you can't do. Now you have to run a plumbing business. which means you've got to be a business person. And you've got to employ plumbers to work for you and apprentices to work for you. It's a bit different. It's like running a restaurant.
Indeed.
And all of a sudden you've got to be a business skill.
Yep.
And that's what chefs do. Chefs get to a point where oh, hang on, that excitement of, working in the kitchen like mental is run away. And I now have to run the business of being the business of running a restaurant as opposed to being the chef yourself. And it's a much bit different thing. And that whole skill base about being a business person is something that seems to me to be lacking in relation to all tasks. Lawyer, accountant, chef, plumber, electrician, I don't care what it is. They should all do some sort of business course and get exposed to business too.
That's right.
So how do you expose your son to business? Do you sort of say, now come here, I want to talk to you. I want to show you what we're doing here, why we're doing this, why we're using this manufacturer. This is our ingredients. This is where we buy. This is how we work out our price.
There's a huge amount.
He might be too young yet.
Yeah, but there's still a huge amount of communication between him and I. I treat him like a human being, so I don't treat him like a child. I never have. And yeah, I think it's by communication. He knows when I was successful. He knew when I fell into business, and he saw me up and down. So, sharing this with your kids, I think it's important. Yeah, honesty.
So so that is an important thing. So if we just touch on that for a second, because I'm a bit older than you, and in my era, we were always told never show weakness to your kids or to anybody, to your wife, anybody, nobody. Which or vulnerability. I mean, I hate the word because everyone uses it, but like it doesn't matter. Like never show your underbelly, and I never did. But in some respects, I think it was a mistake. That's you believe that you should show them the warts and everything,
all of it. Like, listen, a couple of years ago, Jonty says, we're taking drugs at school. What have you done? And I'm like,
Yep.
And I told him,
yeah.
You know what? Because I said to him, I said, I'll tell you what I know or what I've done, but in exchange, when it happens to you, I want to be able to have that same communication.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then they'll do it behind your back, and it gets worse. You don't know what's going on. So I think the honesty between your kids and yourself, it has to happen. You can't just hide your faults, because how do they learn?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Jonty saw me, Jonty is from my previous marriage, so not marriage, but a relationship. And Jonty saw me in a 1-bedroom flat, living with him. He saw me in a 2-bedroom flat, living with him. He saw me in a 3-bedroom flat, and then he saw me in a house.
Yeah.
Okay, so he saw my after failing, he saw my progress and going up in the world just by picking myself up and working hard. That's the only way it works.
He gets that.
He gets that.
And your daughter, how do you keep the boy and the girl close?
It's kind of up to them at the moment, because there's 10 years apart, and Jonty's running around, just got his license and girlfriends and so on. So
scary.
He comes in, opens the fridge, stuff himself, and go. That's what they do. But when they do spend time together, it's working. It's working.
Do you have to work on that though?
No.
Does it ever go in your mind? Oh, how do I keep them?
No, not at all. It's just. They're at home, so when they're at home, they're free to be themselves. So just let it happen like this.
Because when I've had lots of wives and I got lots of kids, and they're different, and one of the things, because we all dream this, I want everybody to be happy, best friends, best mates, and it's okay when they're younger, but when they get older, they start to have strong personalities, and I
think, but 10 years different is the gap is.
I got 10 years though. I got 10 years between the oldest and the youngest. Actually, they're two of the ones that get on the best. The oldest and the youngest, the ones that are closer. I'm not saying they don't get on, but they don't, like, because you want everybody. You want everyone to be, like, what I want, by the way, and what I get is different.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to drop what you want. You got to stop thinking, well, wouldn't it be nice?
Yeah.
I mean, because nothing works out the way you want it, the way you dream about it.
I mean, no one's got a good, easy life. We all have our issues. Like, I mean, like today, everything's okay-ish, it's moving. But you've asked me if I was here a year ago, I would have a completely different story to tell you. Like, I was in a bad place. I was screaming and arguing all the time. I was a horrible, cranky, because, I was
Under pressure.
under pressure all the time. It was a horrible time.
Yeah.
But, and as we talked about earlier on, it's a roller coaster, and I'm hoping now that I'm just on the up, and I'm not going down.
So you live, your family's, your parents,
Yeah.
still alive?
Yeah,
They live in France.
Yeah, yeah.
They don't live here. You got brothers and sisters?
I've got one sister.
He lives over in France.
Yeah.
So, like, to some extent, you're a little bit
I'm-
by yourself here.
I am, and I kind of like it that way. Like, to be honest with you, I left home because
You left France, or
I left France because it was, my mom was just a single mother, and it was a bloody tough gig. And I went, I'm going to go and I'm going to come back and look after you.
Yeah.
And so, and that's not for a pat in the back, but the story is I just wanted to leave to make my own life, my own path. And, kind of, I didn't want what my mom was going through, basically.
Yeah.
In some ways, I was escaping, but also I was escaping to make my own life, to be able to look after her later on.
And how's that gone?
10 years ago, I bought a piece of land in a village, and I built a brand new 4-bedroom
in
house.
France, the village
and
where she lives.
Mom's retired, and she's got no worries to have anymore. So,
That's
well,
cool.
she has worries because her husband's sick, but
Yeah.
at least she can,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's not about being cool or not. It's about, it's about balancing life out. Your parents look after you and stress about you and suffer by working so hard and making sure they give you the right education. And then when you fly with your own wings, they're the ones left behind. So you kind of have to it's your turn to look after them.
Do you think any of that's ever driven by guilt? I mean, did you?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes we fuck up and we go, oh, Jesus, I fucked that up.
My being a better father just is because of my dad leaving us behind. I don't want to repeat the story, the history.
You're doing a generational thing.
No.
It's and Manu, if you were to look back on your life as a celebrity chef, would you have changed anything about being a celebrity chef? I mean, what are the downsides of being a celebrity?
I think I'm one of the lucky one, where I don't think I'm considered by the general public to be like I'm approachable, so I'm not put on a high stall kind of thing. So if I sit at the pub watching a boxing match on Sunday, like, I'll have everybody knowing who I am, but no one's going to really kind of look at me as a celebrity either. You know what I mean? That's what I like about my celebrity statue, if you know what I'm saying.
Do you ever bother about your privacy, though?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's been time.
Especially with your kids.
Yeah. When my daughter was just born, or when my wife was pregnant, it was just like we had to hide. The pups were following you everywhere. It's just like, what the heck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
It's just like with normal people having a baby, just chill, I don't know, but there's a little bit of negative to it. I'm like, yes, if I'm out with my family having dinner and some guy snuck me on the shoulder and goes, "Can I get a photo?" I go,
how do you deal with that?
I usually, my reply to that is like, I usually do, but today, my day off with my family. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
That's the way I do.
Yeah.
But otherwise, on a daily basis, I stop.
Yeah, so if he walks outside the studio on the street and someone wants to get a photograph of you, and it's sort of like, it's sort of, from my point of view, I feel like I'm obliged because I dine out on this. Like,
but those people are your
audience,
but they're also indirectly paying your bills.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, totally.
If it's work related and I do a dinner and there's, as you said, there's 100 people, 200 people there, this is part of the job.
Yeah.
I deal with it completely. But there's sometimes I just want to run away from it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it can be, if you do a dinner and it's the end of the night and half of the people are drunk, it makes it harder to enjoy it. Because people are just then
become punishing.
Yeah, they want a little bit more than what they would if they weren't drunk.
They just step one too many steps forward, but it sort of does go with the territory. And
if you do the good food and wine show, like, and you're on stage, like, you do 1,000 photos a day.
Yeah, totally.
And you have to be nice. There's no other ways.
It's an interesting thing that a lot of people think it's the best life ever. It comes with its ups and its downs, like everything. There's nothing that doesn't have negatives as equal to the number of positives. I don't care what it is.
You know, people have got an image of people on the screen. They're like different and special and richer and better and happier. No. We all going through the same shit in life.
Yeah, totally. As everybody else.
Yeah. It's just the difference is our name is known.
And sometimes I say to myself, they got to be careful, or people should be careful what they wish for.
Yeah.
Because, and by the way, I never wished for my life. I mean, I'm sure you didn't wish for your life. It just sort of happened. These things just happened.
Yeah.
You were at the right place at the right time, talking to the right people, and something happened. And there's something about you that was right for MKR. You know, that worked. And there was something about your name, your surname, the way you looked, the way you spoke, the fact that you were skilled, your personality. There's something was right at the time. And you could never plan that in a million years.
Oh, I never thought I would end up where I am today.
Yeah, never thought.
Never.
It's amazing. Mate, good to see you.
Thanks, Mark.